trousers were thick and heavy, and a black leather belt hugged him just below his waist. His black cap-toe Oxfords with their blonde inserts were neatly placed on the shoe mat. They were made in Italy, size 44. One notices everything in such an instant. From where I sat, I could smell Briam's cologne. India, who in the 10 years we had lived together would not boil an egg, was grilling croissants with ham and cheese. I was offered one, but declined and went upstairs to Jonathan's room. There I waited for Briam to leave. I lay on Jonathan's bed and looked down the length of my own body. I had indeed let myself go. I could hear Briam's voice and India's. They spoke evenly, and at a normal volume, which seemed as brazen as if they had been whispering. Charlie Briam didn't last, and he was not, it turned out, one of India's more memorable encounters. But whenever I think of that time, I see in my mind an image of Charlie Briam in the doorway of the kitchen, and his shoes, made in Italy, size 44, on the mat in the entrance. I could not bear to say goodbye to Jonathan, and so I did not. India warned me not to try to fight her for any rights to Jonathan. As an immigrant, as a non-wage-earning person, and most importantly, as a person without her connections, I would, she assured me, lose in every way. Yet for some time I did fight her, not to match her callousness, nor for the principle of the thing, but for the love of the boy I had raised. His needs were the structure around which my days had been built. But that was a time when someone in my position had no legal recourse. India was right. I was outmatched. The irony is that it was Jonathan himself who was at the heart of our tug-of-war. And soon I was no longer willing to put him through our struggle. After I left, I discovered that it was not only Jonathan I missed. India used to rub herself, after she'd showered, with rose oil. Its scent would waft into our bedroom. Even after I had returned to Trinidad, I would be taken hostage by this scent rising up out of nowhere. Sometimes I imagined I saw, in my peripheral vision, piles of folded laundry waiting to be put away. Jonathan's little shirts and trousers, his underwear and t-shirts, India's black V-neck tees, her black skirts, her black underwear, her black jersey dresses, my blue jeans and black t-shirts, and the detergent scent of mountain air would fill my nostrils. I would turn my head quickly to find that I had been tricked by a pile of books, or simply by regret. In the end, these are not the incidents and reflections I want to leave with Jonathan, and perhaps what he wants to know is something else, something more personal too. I suppose I could explain to him that I came to realize that the imagining and dreaming, the wishing and the knowing that led bit by bit to the being I am today, had actually started long before I left Trinidad and went to live in Canada. Long before I met his mother, long before he came into my life. How I have tried in the past to tell him about Zane, that is, but he can't seem to take it in. Now I must explain it to him one more time, how on that particular day in my childhood when I was in the classroom at the new secondary school to which I had transferred, a student I had just met, this Muslim girl named Zane, pinched my arm. How I grabbed her wrist and told her to stop, but it was too late. I'd already felt the strange mix of power and fear that would haunt me forever. Perhaps that was why, upon finishing high school, I left Trinidad and immigrated to Toronto. Granted, I never told him that on one of my visits back to Trinidad, not long after I had parted with India, Zane and I were sitting on the sill of her swimming pool, eating codfish balls and drinking lime juice. She by then an adult married woman and mother of two in a yellow and white two-piece bathing suit. I the same age, but feeling like some undecided, half-formed thing in my t-shirt and shorts. Both our pairs of feet swinging beneath the surface of the water. And I told her, in a rush, about how one had to undergo psychiatric reviews to transform oneself in the ways I'd just begun to think about, and that only if it were determined that one's mental health was compromised would the insurance pay for what was needed. Zane was quiet for a while,